5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. We got some great stuff today. Let's start off with YouTube. This is going to be fun. This is a B2B ad. And this was, I've never seen anything quite like it. So let's go with it.
Hi, honey. Who's running the marketing emails for the tour next year?
I'm not sure, babe. Call the office.
Okay, I'll call the office. Hey, guys, it's Brittany. Yeah, who's doing the email marketing for the tour next year? Oh, really? Ooh, okay. Thank you. Bye.
So who is it?
It's not Cheetah Digital.
Oh, that's bad, right?
Yeah, it's bad. Because Cheetah Digital is the new leader in the Forrester Wave for email marketing platforms. They pushed Adobe and Salesforce into the challenger segment. Want me to call him and tell him to fix it? And get you a new laptop?
Yes, please.
Now, I've never really looked into Cheetah Digital. It sounds like a really bad name to me because it sounds like cheating digital, which, of course, we know from all the digital fraud, that's a big deal. But I think I'm going to have to look into it. You know, it sounds like something that we should all find out about. So I was pretty tickled by that B2B ad. It goes on and on and on, so I'm going to cut it short. But, really good. I really liked it. I really liked that somebody had some humor in it, and that's like, she goes on to say that's like his 57th laptop of the year. So now let's get over to, and it's really small, let's get over to the PDFs, okay? And I'm kind of fighting with my PDF company because they're putting in, I've registered this and it's on multiple computers, but I keep switching out computers because a hard drive fails or something. And then you can't unregister a machine unless you got on it, and I can't get on it because it's broken. So I'm fighting with them and saying, hey, I registered umpteen machines and I'm only one person. I shouldn't be paying for 10 seats when there's only one butt in the seat. Anyway, so they write me back. Poor people. They, half the time it's my own fault for not reading the manual, which is true. So anyway, White Castle, Burger King doubled down on digital tech. Then this is always curious to me because, what does that mean? What does it mean with AI? Harnessing artificial intelligence. What in the heck is that about? And it turns out that what they're doing is reading the license plates of consumers or customers who opt into the program. So while you're in the drive-through, they can read your license plate and decide if you're there to pick up an order or if you're placing an order. And so they can be ready for you at the window, speeds things up. Long term, they could actually market to you. I proposed this to Midwest Express Airline because the president and CEO was a friend of mine. And I said, Tim, why don't we work up a database so that you can put the frequent flyer miles, the amount of miles, right on the screen, or better yet, just score them and give customers a gold star for 1 million miles or a red star for 100,000 miles, or a blue star for, a member. And he said, we just got PCs into the counter and it would be too much trouble. I said, it's not really too much trouble. We do the database and then we only populate the score, the star, appropriately. There was a gas station chain, it might have been Shell, back in I think it was in the 20s. And they had a frequent customer program, and what they did was put little red tire valve caps on the tire valves. The little thing you put air into the tire with? And they'd put little red caps on your tires if you wanted to get special treatment. And they'd in those days, everybody got, you'd pull into a service station, and they were called service stations, and they'd wash your windows, and they'd ask you how much you'd like in your tank, and they'd do all of this stuff for you. The only place they do that is at Lombardi Plaza in New Jersey on your way back to the airport. They have veterans there, and they get tips. And, that's kind of a neat thing, and I give them tips. But it used to be like that every service station. In fact, when they started self-service service stations, they had dispensers for gloves so that especially women didn't have to touch the gas pump and get soiled. They would check your oil every time. A Spanish professor, a friend of mine, said when you go to Mexico, they'll hold the dipstick a little differently. So they'd hold the dipstick down a little bit and put it in, and it would show that you needed oil. And you didn't necessarily need oil. So there were some tricks to servicing your car a little more. But those red caps were a designation for a frequent customer program. I'm so amazed that grocery stores, airlines, nobody acknowledges you as you walk up to the counter or as you come to the cash register or anything. And my guess is White Castle won't do it either, but it would be a great thing to do to encourage people to use this service would be to somehow say something nice to people. You know, I figured out I spend about $5,000 a year at my grocery store, my Piggly Wiggly, and I've been shopping there at least 30 years. Now, that just since we got married, or more like 40, but we moved out here about 35 years ago, 33 years ago. So, 33 times 5, you know, it's like more than $150,000 I've spent at the Piggly Wiggly. You think somebody would smile and say, gee, it's nice to see you, John. Nope, nothing. Okay? That's how you could use this. Will they? Probably not. Right? Okay, now I've been trying to get to this article, Funnel Juggling, the answer to marketing effectiveness. Okay? And Mark Ritson I really love and respect, and he said, you know, there's been a lot going on since March, and the problem with the funnel is that it's a little too linear. And I've always said that. You know, my boss with the physics undergrad from Purdue and the Harvard MBA always thought we could project which customers were going to go through the funnel properly. And I actually have a funnel on my marker board in my office across from from the camera. If I were at the office today, I might have been able to wrench it around and show you the funnel. But I actually have one there. Kind of ignore it. You know what's funny about the funnel is I've gotten most of my clients calling up and saying, you know, we could really use that. You know, I think we should at least test what you're talking about, because that's all I'm asking is let's do a test and go against what you're doing. And they'll call up and say, let's do it. Just like that. No prior warning. Did they see a video? Did they read an article? Did they have a friend? You know, it's totally random. And I'm not saying that it isn't random in a big enough arena, but even within consumer, we tried to do a customer journey for the Lovesac people. They really wanted a customer journey. You know, but it was a lot when they really started researching it. You know, somebody was walking by the store, went in, thought it was cool, ordered. You know, it could be that. It could be simple. Or got a catalog, saw a couch in someone's apartment. We got a lot of next door neighbor orders and gave them a catalog and they'd place an order. Or they'd go on the website and place an order. You know, once they got the concept, that was it. And so we found out that over-mailing the customers drove a lot of orders. It was a 900% return on investment. Even though we were just mailing customers, 2/3 of the orders we got from the catalog trackable to that address that we mailed were from non-customers. So I agree with Mark that the funnel is a little bit too linear in concept. Some people just drop right to the bottom, and some people swim around up at the top and go to your website and watch your digital ads and are exposed to everything and never buy. That's the way it is. 60% of your customers in a catalog company are probably never going to buy from you again. What's that about? You know, why can't we drop them in the funnel again and shepherd them along? Why? Because people aren't like that. They're just not like it. You know, I'm not like it. So, So now that we're coming out of the pandemic, it looks like a lot of marketers are struggling with the funnel. And Mark says there's three real approaches. One is the sequential approach, but it's just you got to be careful, because in a time of like the pandemic, your buying might stop. People might just stop thinking about it. The world's going to end. Do I really need hospice care or long-term life insurance, or maybe get some short-term life insurance, or something like that. But, can I live without homeowners for a month or two? So Mark illustrates what NRMA, which is an insurance company in Australia, did. And he said that there was little point of running the usual short-term insurance campaigns when the market was no longer interested. So they positioned around being helpful, okay? And they used some old footage of a boy rescuing a koala bear, probably from a fire, I think. And then they pivoted to some home casualty, fire, and theft insurance that was really reasonable for $10 a month, or $10 a month, third party, and just sold a little really inexpensive product just for the time being. And it took off and it sold massively. Okay, so the point is that you can pivot off your brand, which has been around forever, and integrate your special product for a short term. Mark is always trying to help you to see that there's a balance between short and long term marketing, and I think that that's really true. And I'm going to pull out some catalogs that I put in my briefcase to take to the office, but I'm going to pull them out for now. And he says there isn't a single funnel with the market marching down in lockstep like a terracotta army. They found this army where of all these clay statues, basically thousands of them underground. Really fascinating in China. Customers are distributed all over the place. Some have not heard of your product. Others are actively considering it. Others are buying it on a regular basis. Okay? So that's why you want to have some introductory advertising like that commercial I just showed you. Okay? I don't know anything about Cheetah Digital, but I remember that name. Cheetah Digital. I know absolutely nothing. As far as I know, I've never even heard of it before. Okay, so it got me started. And if you watch the rest of the commercial, it talks about email management. Now, I'm not sure what that is. We're using Mindfire's DaVinci right now. We in the past we've used MailChimp, and we're getting better about tracking our email. We now have enough email addresses to do it. We've hit the confluence between click through technology and also enough to make sense of it, although it still doesn't really tell us what's going on in the funnel. But we do get the unsubscribes done really easily, so that if you get too many and you want to unsubscribe, feel free to hit the button. Okay, Uber, Mark says, is a good example of concurrent funnels. They stress the emotional benefits of travel, and the emotional benefit that awaits is associated with Uber in these moments. The cool part, the first Uber ride I ever took was in Rome, right by the Pantheon, and I was exhausted. Italy was a forced march for me, and I'd had hip surgery just a couple months before that, and so we're sitting down having our 4:00 gelato in a little outdoor cafe, and I said, I don't know if I can even walk back to the bus station. We'd rented scooters the 2 days before, but then now we were kind of on our own, and we had to get across town. And so I said, let's try this Uber thing. I think I have it on my phone, and it took a while to set up the Google Wallet, but we're enjoying ourselves at the outdoor cafe. And I finally hit the button, and here comes a stretched limo. Not stretch, but a nice limo, Mercedes, brand new Mercedes. I swear. In 5 minutes, not even, just a couple of minutes. And we said hello to the driver, and he was real nice and friendly, and And we said, this is our first Uber ride. And he said, this is my first one too. He said, I chauffeur for a rich Italian family not far from here. And they said, why don't you try this Uber thing? And so it's been downhill from there, but it was really an unbelievable experience. And so now they have introductory offers to try to get people to try it. And so both of them work concurrently. And that, to me, that makes sense of a simultaneous approach. But running both long and short approaches in marketing simultaneously allows Uber to create top-of-funnel attractions and convert it with bottom-of-funnel sales. Okay? And then there's also the singular approach, and this is probably the hardest, where you try to meld both of those into one commercial. And that, if we went further on into that commercial, you'd see them trying to do that, but there wasn't really an offer at the end. And this is kind of the David Ogilvy approach, I would say. He has tricks about how to make sure you're attracting the attention of people who need your product. And that's, I see, kind of as the top of the funnel. He said if you're selling incontinence, an incontinence cure, say, if you suffer from incontinence, read this ad, essentially. I tried that out with Cardizem. I said, if you're a Cardizem user, read this ad or drop dead, but they didn't go for it. I think that would have gotten more leads than anything. And David, if it doesn't get attention, then it isn't a good ad. And if it doesn't connect to your product, he said, think about all the commercials that you even the Energizer Bunny, most people for a long time associated it with Duracell. And I may have it backwards, which is pretty funny. But most people did, because the bunny was cute, and I've done a show on the bunny, but it wasn't cemented right into the effort. It wasn't in there loud and clear enough to me. But the downside of that is, how do you do it in a convincing way, doing it both together? So I'm just going to bring up a couple of great examples. Here's Land's End, and on the cover, see, there's a kind of a featured product, serious sweatshirts, get comfy, but it's really about the fabric. It's a zoom in on the fabric. You see that? It's wonderful. There's also an offer on the lower right corner. See that? 40% off. Okay? But the rest of the catalog is about the product. Here's one about a flannel. It looks almost like a flannel sport coat to me. Very interested in that, right? Also wanted to point out they're using UPC code right at the bottom. See that there? So in direct mail, I think we always kind of try and do both on the simultaneous approach. So I'm with you on that. And I got this Vermont Country Store. I ordered something for my wife the very first Christmas we were married, and she cried when she opened it, and not in a good way. And I got this just the other day. So there's an offer, and we test all this stuff. There's an offer, but there's also an image telling you that there's over 100 new items for fall, and, purveyors of the practical and hard to find since 1946, right? So it's a novelty in some ways catalog. I got a water saver shower head from them, and it's the best I ever got. And so I'm going to place an order, at least for old time's sake. And so I think you need to always be keeping these two in mind. You need to be keeping, what's the reason I should open this? The psychiatrist doctor next door, he loves these things. He's got a bunch of them from Hammacher Schlemmer. This is like a fountain of water. I mean, inside it's all this moving stuff and bubbles and lights. So in his waiting room, which he hasn't been using the last couple months, but he's got a whole bunch of these light show things with changing color globes and the jellyfish aquarium, that they aren't real jellyfish. And so there's a feeling in the catalog, in the best catalogs, of what the heck is the reason you should open it. But then there's a lot of fun inside, and it's a good diversion, and it takes you away from the digital world for a little while. So we try to keep both in mind. I think I think Mark is right on the button as usual, and I've been wanting to get to that article. So like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. Thanks for watching. I see we got a good group today. Thanks for your comments.